But it's Quinton here, and I want to talk to you all today about producing for yourself and why I try to push this message of producing for yourself. And today's topic is a topic titled DTC versus retail. I used to do this podcast back in 2017, 2018 or whatever. And I kind of stopped because business started to get busy. And then COVID hit, and then investment hit, and all types of things have hit. But it's not a bad thing. Just, I was busy. So now I've come back to a point where I'm like, I need to I need an outlet. I need a place where I can just speak to my experiences, tell other people about what's been going on, and just give people my lessons of what I've been learning. So this is what this is. This podcast is really like the lessons. And today's topic is a topic titled DTC versus retail. I think that's a very interesting topic. It's a huge debate within the whole DTC space, especially on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, the DTC community on Twitter is a very big one. This is a very big topic. But this is really not a conversation about which one is better. I think this is probably more of my experiences with it, how we are approaching, direct to consumer versus retail. I think people that are probably listening probably have a business. They're probably wondering well, should I go retail now or should I stay DTC? All of that. So I think this is what this conversation is kind of, more about. I'm going to probably pull up some resources, some things that I've, how I felt right in the past. I have posts from 2019, 2018 about my thoughts on DTC. I have felt very strongly about DTC for a very long time. And so let's just jump right into it. We're going to jump right into it. So DTC versus retail. And for those who do not know what DTC is, direct to consumer. Direct to consumer is basically you selling directly to your consumer. Direct to consumer today is, I'll give you an example. So us at Urban Eden, we have a website. We sell our soap. You go to my website as a customer, you put in your information, you buy that stuff, and we ship it directly to you. That is direct to consumer. There is no middleman. You are buying directly from me. That is direct to consumer. Yep. Direct to consumer, I feel made a comeback. I'm going to say a comeback because direct to consumer has always been here. It's always been here for many, many years. But I feel it's really made a comeback, especially with the internet. The internet was this great equalizer that allowed people to directly communicate with people directly and be able to sell to those people directly. There was no middleman. There's no middleman. The internet has allowed us to be able to connect with people directly, and that's hence the name direct to consumer. And then we all know what retail is. Retail, when I say retail, I'm speaking about big box. I'm talking Whole Foods. I'm talking Target, Walmart. You know what I'm saying? Kroger's. I'm talking about the big brands. I'm also talking, selling your product wholesale. You're selling your product to a distributor, and that distributor is taking the product to the big box stores, and then they're selling it at the store. So really, direct to consumer versus retail is really about data. It's all about data and first-party data. Gary Vee had a quote. He said, whoever is closest to the customer is who will win. Shout out to Gary Vee, man. If y'all ain't never listened to Gary Vaynerchuk, go listen to him. But he said that he been saying that for years, actually.
Nice.
He been saying that for many years. Whoever is closest to the customer will win. Because why? You have the data. You have the, and when I talk about selling your company and building an asset, that's what people are buying. That's what they're acquiring. They're acquiring that data. I even have to put an asterisk by Amazon because Amazon is a little it's kind of in between. Because on Amazon, you don't get any of the data. You don't get none of the data. You sell it. The crazy thing, we sell on Amazon right now, and we don't get none of the data of the customer. We don't get their email. We don't get their phone number. We don't get anything. We get just their name, and we got to ship them to their address. So we don't get nothing when you're selling on Amazon. So. Yeah. Amazon, that's another route that people sell. We do sell on Amazon. It's not my favorite, but Amazon is literally the most traffic website on the net. So it's you gotta be there. You know what I'm saying? So it could be a place where you can get new customer. So that's the thing with Amazon and that whole thing. So I just want to kind of point out the differences between just kind of give you a definition of what direct to consumer is and what I mean when I say retail. Another thing with retail, I kind of don't want to count like the smaller stores, for those that are in Atlanta, they know about Sevenanda or any of the smaller natural stores out there where you can sell your product and you know what I'm saying, you can sell your product to them for a wholesale price. I think I'm not really even that I would consider that to be retail as well, honestly, because you do have you slash the margin. The thing about retail is that you slash your margins in half because again, let's just say I'm selling my product on my direct-to-consumer site for $10. Mm-hmm. Say it costs me $1 to make it. The retailers don't want to buy that product for half of what you're selling it for retail. They're gonna slash that. So if you're selling a product for $10 on your website, they're gonna want to buy it for $5, maybe even $4 or less, depending on what it is. And then they're gonna mark it up another 100% to be able to sell it again, or they might mark it up a little bit past your price that you sell on your website. But again, that's retail. That's the whole game of retail. And again, there's pros and cons to both. I don't want to knock neither one. Like there's pros and cons. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of backstory, not even a backstory, but just a little bit of like my philosophy and just kind of like what I've been thinking when it comes to direct to consumer. So Urban Eating has been direct to consumer from day one. Like that is what we wanted to do. We wanted to build a brand. We wanted to build a brand. We wanted to build our own customer base. I knew when we started this business that building your own customer base gave you the most leverage. It's just, I mean, again, the internet. I mean, you have the internet. You could make a post about your product, and people will come directly to your site and buy it. What is more powerful than that and getting that data, like getting that raw data like that? When you're at the markets, when we were at the markets at the farmers markets.
Same thing.
And we were selling. We were directly in front of people. There's nothing stronger than a direct connection to your customer, being able to sell directly to them, get the feedback from them through reviews, through feedback, through word of mouth, like all of that, having people refer to you to other people. Like there's nothing more powerful than that connection right there.
Goes back to the last episode about communication. The emphasis is on
communication. I mean, being able to have that data and being able to use it to communicate back and forth with them, like there's nothing more powerful. See, the thing is, when you get into retail, and again, this is not a knock on retail because I do believe Urban Eating will be in retail stores in the future. We will. Like, when you're on the journey to scale, you're gonna have to broaden your distribution, and you're gonna have to get out there and get into the retail stores. There's no doubt about it. We will be in there in the future, but not now. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of why as to why. Because people could probably even ask, they're like, well, Quinton, if you're doing $5 million a year, I mean, is it not time to go to retail yet? Maybe. And that's been the topic of discussion. But what was I just at? I was just talking about...
just like communication and relationships, being direct to consumer.
Just being direct to consumer and just the benefit of just communicating with people and just and how that really gives you a lot of leverage. It gives you a lot of leverage. And the thing is that for us, and I talk about this in other episodes, we are trying to build a very valuable company, trying to build an asset. That's what that's what we all are trying to do. We're trying to build something very valuable. You know what I'm saying? And the most valuable thing that you can do is build your own customer base. Build your customer base. Have a database of customers who buy directly from you. You know their behaviors. Not only do you know their behaviors, the demographics of them. You know everything about this customer. Companies want that data. They want that. They want to be able to go to a company like ourselves or any other person and be like, okay, you have this subset or this demographic of customer. I want that customer base right there. And that's why they will come to you and be like, yo, I want to acquire that company. I want to strategically acquire you and bring you into my fold because you have that first party data of, you know what I'm saying, of this demographic that they were going after or whatever.
Right.
Like, I'm telling you, there's nothing more powerful than that. So
that's true because it's pretty strong. Like how retail, you get a collection of assortment of different products. You can't really specify what type of customer is getting it or whatnot. When it comes to direct to consumer, people, you can have a human connection with them, and people kind of
Absolutely.
People want that. People want connection.
Absolutely.
That's why marketing is so freaking fire. You strike an emotion, you strike a chord with people they connected with your brand in some type of way. You know, all type of ads and commercial strikes, some type of emotional connection. So that's being direct to consumer is powerful. You know what I'm saying?
No, it is. And the thing is that when you're in retail, and again, I keep having to preface this because there are people who are smaller than us. There are people that are bigger than us that are in retail. Retail's there's a need, there's a purpose for it. But when you are in retail, somebody buys your product, you don't know who bought your product.
Facts.
It's not even that's not even your customer.
Right.
When you got your product in Target and they go and buy from you, that's Target's customer.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's a need for it at some point. But again, if you get in there too early and you got people buying products from you at Target, then you're not going to know who your customer is. Thanks. So, you know, I will say, like, so early on, I used to have this question from my accountant. Shout out to Kadima. And I used to ask him, like, and this was, like, before we even did $1 million. I used to ask him, like, yo, like, should we be going retail? Like, should we go get our product in like, these small natural stores? And, again, this is my accountant. He knows the numbers. He was like, yo, like, you should stay direct as long as you possibly can. He was like, yo, like, stay direct. Like, sell directly to your customer. Build that customer base. Like, you get out, you keep all the margin. You make way more money. You know what I'm saying? It is harder, I will say. It is hard. It is a harder route to sell directly to your customer than it is to go put your product into a high traffic retail store where they already get a lot of traffic and then allow them to sell your product. It's much harder. But again, just because something is much harder, there's a greater reward for it. And even in the space of acquisition, and again, guys, I've studied this. I've studied it, especially since we've got an investment. Like, a company will pay more for a company that's trying to acquire you will pay more for a company, say company A is doing $10 million direct to consumer. Let's say company B is doing $10 million, but it's majority retail. They're going to pay more for that company that is direct.
Of course.
Because that company A they have the data. They have the data.
Exactly.
And also the revenue is different. I told you when it comes to retail revenue, your margins are slashed in half.
Right.
So you're selling a product over here for $10, but over here you're selling that product for $4 or $5. You got to sell way more products to get to 10 million versus when you're selling 10 million in direct to consumer. You know what I'm saying?
Another point to add to that is the retail experience is not on the level of an online experience. It's like your retail experience got to be just as smooth as a good thing about a good website. Yeah. You know, the ease of the process, they personalize the experience for you and whatnot, versus a retail store. It's got a bunch of different products. They're not going to cater to you like a website. Oh, like
catering. So, I mean, I guess the retail store is catering to their customer base. But again, like you said on the website, like you said, it's just more that direct relationship. So you can kind of cater it, you know, more to them or
right. Because it's kind of go to the point where you said, like, the company that's doing $10 million in DTC versus a $10 million in retail. Yeah. The investors going to look at the DTC, you know, because like you said, they got the data. It's a stronger connection.
That's the golden, like, I mean, again, that's still like the golden, like, egg, like, to me, like, still, like, people are still looking for companies who have that direct relationship. Like, because again, I'm going to keep saying it. It goes back to the data, man. The data is the most powerful thing. And that's what we knew from the early days of being in the farmer's market. That's why when we was at the farmer's market, and I remember even before farmer's market, when Taryn used to sell her product at work, I used to be like, use the POS and collect the data when you're selling to your coworkers. And I used to get on her so bad about it. I used to be like, Taryn, when you sell the product to them, and this was early when we were like 2016, 2017. I'm like, when you're selling the product to your coworkers, make sure you get their name and their email and their phone number when you're doing it. Put it in the POS system. Because it's very easy for somebody when they're out here hustling and out here selling a product, they'll just sell it, get the quick cash, and then keep going. That was the thing that I stressed heavily early on. Was like, yo, don't do that. Collect that data. I said the data is more important than that money.
We don't want no cash apps.
Yeah, don't do that. And again, I'm not saying that you can't collect those. But use the POS system. Right. Shout out. I mean, we need Shopify to sponsor this one. Like. No, we need Shopify to sponsor this podcast. Honestly,
what's crazy, bro? I'm on the Shopify blog right now, bro. They got some good facts. I just want to point out in regards to the DTC.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let you point that out. But like I told her, I said, use that Shopify POS, collect the data, and again, the tools are at our disposal today. Shopify is like king of direct to consumer. They are going to give you all the tools. So if you're contemplating on what you should use Shopify. But what was you about to say? What did Shopify say?
So Shopify just giving just the reasons why, direct to consumer is so important. And I think a key thing here was just on how online sales have skyrocketed. The International Trade Administration expects,
so it's growing. So online sales are growing. So that's another one. Yes, they are.
So the International Trade Administration expects global online sales to reach $5.5 trillion by 2027.
So it's $1 trillion industry.
So
online,
and then just giving some other context. In 2010, just 15% of Nike's revenue was made up of DTC sales.
Now it's what?
But this figure rose to 43.7% in 2023, and it's set to grow to 60% by 2025.
So that just lets you know, like, our behavior.
The shift. These top these top companies are going straight.
We still shop in stores. I mean, don't get it twisted. We still go to stores, but we're shopping more and more online. I mean, it's just, and that's why Amazon's such a huge thing.
Everything's following that route too. Technology, everything's following that automated, quick, convenient, fast system. So
right.
That's where you know that this e-commerce playing, this direct to consumer is
it's
number
very
one.
Valuable.
It's number one.
It is. It's that's what I'm saying. Like it's a very valuable thing. So like, and I want to give you guys, like, even again, I always want to give you my experience. I want to give you when we took on investment at the end of 2021. When we were having conversations with our investors, the goal for Urban Eden with our investment was for us to, and this is the goal right now. This is what we're currently working on now, is for us to get to the 8-figure mark, all digital. What I mean by the 8-figure mark, we're talking about anywhere from like that 15 to 20 million mark. So when I got with my investors, the goal was for us to get to 15 to 20 million top line revenue without retail, just all digital. And why? So you ask yourself, why? Well, guys, like, why do they want you to hit this particular numbers all digital? Because that's seen as more valuable in the eye of a acquiring company, or, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just seen as more valuable. You know what I'm saying? You get higher multiples for your company if you can do that digital route versus, having some retail or whatnot. So, and there's a huge debate. I mean, again, it's a huge debate, especially amongst my board, amongst my investors. Some people in my investment cap table believe that we should be in retail right now. We're doing $5 million. They're like, yo, y'all can be in retail right now. And they really believe very strongly about that. Like, yo, and I actually believe it too. Me and Terrence have conversations about that. And you probably agree. Do you agree that Urban Eden can be in retail stores right now?
Absolutely.
I believe we can be in retail stores right now. Is that going to be the most valuable thing for us right now? No, it's not. Because why? We built our company as a direct-to-consumer company. Like, our company right now is set up to service our direct-to-consumer clients. That's what it is. Like, we're not set up right now to massively manufacture and to service tens of thousands of stores across the U.S. We're just not there yet. We're going to get there. And again, like I said, we will be in retail one day, just not right now. Like I said, our goal is to build this customer base and our platform, our business, all of that. It's for us to build it ourselves digitally as strong and as long as possible before going to retail. That's the goal. And one of my investors actually had a lunch meeting with one of our other investors on our cap table, and he's actually an investment banker. If you know about an investment banker is a person who basically sells businesses. Think about a real estate agent, how they sell houses. An investment banker basically is like a real estate agent for businesses. He sells businesses. So he sees transactions happen all day long. He sees what the market is looking for. He sees all the types of things. So my investor sent me an email after that meeting, and I want to share this email with you guys. And I'm gonna block out, and I'm not gonna block it out, but I'm gonna blank out the name because I don't want people's names to be, exposed or whatnot. But I gotta share with y'all this email that he sent. You ever heard this email? Never heard this email. No. So he said, I spoke to such and such this morning. He said, I'm writing this down so we can regurgitate the message as needed. Such and such feels strongly about not going to retail right now. And again, to give you context, this is about the conversation of should Urban Eden go retail right now. He said that we're a digital native brand like Harry's or Dollar Shave Club, and those brands were able to grow to scale without having to take the risk of retail. Here he said the risk of retail. Retail can be risky. You need to be ready for retail. Retail requires a lot of capital up front because you have to invest a lot of capital up front because, again, those businesses, those companies are not paying you for 30, 60, 90, 120 days. When you send that product out there, they're not paying you for a long time. Let me keep going. He went on to say, it would be different if we were a retail and wholesale brand with no digital penetration. In that case, his advice would be pushing the brand to be more omni and to figure out a digital strategy. He went on to explain how often you hear the word omni brand used as a positive term when valuing a business, but in our case, we're winning where it matters most, building a brand on our own, and we need to stay focused on that goal. Now, I'm not finished with the email yet, but you hear what he just said. He said that we need to be focused on building a brand on our own, and that's what it's about. You have to build a brand. If you're out here trying to create a company and you know what I'm saying, you want to have dreams and ambitions to really grow it, you got to focus on building a brand. And the best way to do that is to go directly to your consumer. I'm halfway through. He also said, as soon as you go retail, your pitch deck looks different to an acquirer. You must start presenting retail metrics and analysis that makes the conversation more difficult if those numbers aren't good. So he's saying that if we start to go retail now and we're not probably all the way ready, those numbers need to look good. They need to look very strong. Because if an acquiring business wants to come and try to get us or acquire us or whatever, and again, I'm not saying I'm selling a company, y'all. I'm just giving y'all scenarios. If a company comes to us and they want to acquire us, they're going to look at the retail numbers, and they're going to take them seriously just like our direct-to-consumer numbers. They're going to be like, yo, we want to see some real numbers. We want to see some real growth here. We can't just dip our toe in it. You got to go full on. And that's the thing about it with my team is like, if we're not ready to full on go into it and like just dive into it and be ready to really take it by storm, then don't do it yet. Because if you do, and you start and you dip your toe into retail, you better be hitting great numbers in it. Because if not, it'll put a damping on your valuation. Almost finished. He said he feels there's no reason to take the risk. The final point he made was about selling the retail opportunity as untapped potential. The point he made was it's very poetic in your sim to talk about the opportunity of retail without having to show numbers. So it breaks some of that down for you. He said the point he made was it's very poetic in your sim. A sim is basically like this one page or like a few page document that kind of sells the company to the potential acquirer. So what they do is they'll put together it's like a marketing type of plan, a marketing thing. So when they send to all these acquiring businesses out here, they're like, hey, Urbanina is on the market. These are their highlights and all that type of stuff. They'll send, it's called a SIM. SIM is like the marketing plan, like the thing that sells us, like the initial sale to these acquiring brands. That's what the SIM is. So he said that he said the point that he made was it's very poetic in your SIM to talk about the opportunity of retail without having to show the numbers. That's actually something me and my investors feel very strongly about. I feel very strongly about. Think about it. Like, it's almost like having a piece of land. Let's say you have a piece of land and you were selling this land. And there was oil underneath the land. And that's a selling point to sell the land. Like, if you were like, yo, I'm trying to sell this land, you know what I'm saying? But there's also oil underneath it. Would you not get way more for that land because there's oil underneath it? Yes, you would, because there's oil underneath, and you know the value of oil
for sure
underneath your land. That's what our retail opportunity is for Urban Eden, is because, yes, we can be in retail right now. We can. But it's much better for us to hold off as long as possible, continue to build our brand, continue to build out the digital landscape for us, and sell that as an opportunity for the next partners or for a liquidity event I'm trying to have in the future. It's better for us to hold on to that and sell that as untapped potential in the future. To be like, yo, you could take this brand and take it to retail. Because again, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't even want to do retail right now. It's a massive monster. I don't want to do it right now. I'd much rather continue to hit the digital, continue to build out our digital platform, continue to get sales coming directly to our site. I would rather continue to do that rather than take on the beast of retail right now. I'll just be honest with you. I just don't want to do that right now. And, we need to be well positioned. We need to be well capitalized. You know what I'm saying? We need to have the team and the infrastructure ready to take that on. We can't take that on top of what we're doing right now. And everything that we got going on. Mm-hmm. That would be a massive amount to do right now. And I don't want to do that right now. So that's something that we feel very strongly about. And to wrap it up, he says brands like P&G love to see a digital brand with strong growth that has untapped potential in retail. The bottom line, such and such supports our decision to hold off on retail because we're seeing strong digital growth with more initiatives to launch over the next 6 to 12 months that should accelerate our revenue even more without having to take the risk of retail, without having to take the risk on for retail. That was an email that was shared with me about a month and a half ago. Where, like I said, our investor, one of my lead investors, met with an investment banker that's on our cap table. That's in it. He's in it. Like when I say he's in it, he knows what brands need to look like. He knows what you need to look like to get yourself to a state to look attractive for brands like a P&G or a Unilever. And like he said, focus on building your brand, have the untapped potential. And you probably ask yourself, well, then why do they want that? Because the bigger brands can't really have that direct-to-consumer relationship like that. Mm-hmm. They can't create that relationship.
Right.
We have a face. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Taryn is a real human being. She has a connection with the customer base. You know what I'm saying? People gravitate to the founders of a business. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to see, oh, is this black-owned? They want to know, is this black-owned? They want to know, oh, who's the person behind this? Right. People follow people. People buy from people before they buy your product or your service. They buy people first. Thanks. That's what the big brands can't do. That's why they will look at a brand like an Urban Eden or any of these other brands that have happened out there. That's why they would want to gravitate to them, because they're like, okay, you've done all of this and you ain't hit retail yet? Right. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm gonna pay this much more for it because I know that they're masters at retail. They're P&G and they're masters at distribution. They're masters at getting your costs down of the materials and your product. You know what I'm saying? They're masters of that. They've mastered that. I'm not saying that they haven't mastered digital, but they can't create they don't have that human connection to people. That's what they don't have. That's what they want. Right. That's what they want. And they know that they can easily, come a part of a company like ours or whatever and help us to melt our costs down just because they buy more. You know what I'm saying? They probably own coconut oil farms. They own palm oil farms. Right. Like, they can get our costs melt down. It's not to say that we're going to use less quality ingredients, but they literally own the farms. Like, they own those things. So that's how they look. That's how they look at this. So I just feel like that was a very valuable email that was sent to me. And I sometimes I will take time to read that again over and over again since I got it. It just reminds me again as to like keep me focused on,
building the brand.
Build the brand, man. And that's what DTC is about. DTC is about building your brand. And the thing is, once you build a brand, to a certain point, then the retail just becomes easier. Then you have leverage. That's what you want. You don't want to go into these stores and not have no leverage. It's about leverage. You want to be able to name your shot and stuff like that. You don't want to just be, just taking handouts and stuff like that. Another thing that I don't want to do either, I don't want people to let our brand into retail because we're black. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like, oh, we want to sell you, we want to put you guys in our Black History Month. Not to say that we wouldn't do that, but I don't want that to be the sole reason why. I want them to want us in retail because they're like, yo, this brand here is blowing up on digital. They would do really, really well in here. And they're black. Like, that's just an added thing because they were black, but not just because, oh, we're black, we want to feature y'all in our Black History Month rollout or our Juneteenth rollout. Or I don't want that. I just feel like that's like one of those, like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want that. And again, this is not to say like I don't want to use the fact that we're black like as an advantage, but like I want people to. I've always said this. I want people to buy from us because we have a valuable good product or service. Facts. You know what I'm saying? Not just because I'm black. Like, like I never really got down with that. And again, y'all can take it how you want, but like I want people to use my product because they see it's valuable and they want the product. Right. Like That just makes sense to me. To me, that's more sustainable in the long run.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, if I do something that you're not in agreement with, then you'll just stop buying from me just because you just don't like what I said, or just don't like a comment like what I'm saying right now, and you don't like what I said, so you just like, you know what, peace, I'm out of here.
Right.
Like, I want you to be like, I want you to use my product regardless. Like, treat my product like how y'all treat like Heinz ketchup. Like, people been buying Heinz ketchup for years. Like, they don't even know who the founder is. Like, you don't know who the founder is. You don't know none. Like, you've been buying that same aluminum foil for years.
Right.
Like, you've been buying the same
Loyal
bleach for years. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't buying that because the person is black or the person did this or that. You buying it because of the value of that product, and you see the use of it, and you trust it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
facts.
So, you know, back to the whole DTC versus retail. This is how we're taking the approach. We are building this brand. Everything that we are doing is to continue to build the equity of the brand, to build the value of the brand. That's what DTC really is. It's building that brand. Retail will come later for us. I believe actually that if we can get to our goal with DTC, if we truly hit our goal with DTC, I believe that if we hit retail, that's when it really will accelerate. And again, there are examples of companies who actually went to retail much earlier. Like, I think about Honey Pot. I even think about the book that we just read with Schmitz. I think Schmitz went to retail. I think, if I'm mistaken, I read her book. They went to retail. They would hit like $2 or $3 million in revenue, top line. Then they went to retail. So I mean, again, there are a lot of cases where, you know, you can hit retail much earlier. And again, it's all different use cases. That's why this episode is not about which one you should do. It all depends. And I'm just giving you how we're looking at it and what we're trying to do with it. You know what I'm saying? So, because we think about a product like soap needs wide distribution. It needs to be everywhere. Like, soap needs to be in Target, you know what I'm saying, across the United States.
Right.
And again, that will come, because I know our dad actually, I'm saying our dad because my brother is right here. He always just asks, he's like, yo, why don't y'all just put it in stores yet?
Yeah.
And I try to explain this to him, and he never really probably like understood it all the way. And a lot of other people, when I try to explain it to them, especially older people.
Yeah, because they're not on that technology wave like that.
Yeah, like
they're used to going to the brick and mortars.
And
stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
so like they never really understood it fully.
Yeah.
So when I try to explain it to them, they just was like, well, okay, I hear you, but like, why are you not going to get it in the store though? Like, why are you not going to put it out there, like, and go there?
Yeah.
And like, look, I get it, because I go back and forth in my mind so many days of like, man, like, we probably should just be there. We probably should go do that, but it's a lot of things that you got to do. It's a lot of things that we're getting away with in direct to consumer that you wouldn't be able to get away with in retail.
Right.
Like, your packaging need to be on point.
Yeah.
You can get away with a little bit of like inconsistency stuff in direct to consumer a little bit, because you're selling it directly to the person. So like, even now, like, we have some cigar band. We're trying to go through our packaging with the boxes, and we have some cigar bands. You can't do that in retail. You got to have all that packaging ready to go, A1, barcodes on and everything, so they can scan it. Like, you got to have all that stuff, ducks in a row and whatever. And again, like, I think it would be good to invite some brands on here who are in retail, so that we can get a perspective and a view as to like, how are you liking retail?
Yeah.
Like, tell me about it. Like, you know, what have been some of the things that you've seen that have been great, and what are the pitfalls that you've been seeing? I follow people who are in retail. They do speak to it transparently. I think I hear some of the things about just like how it's hard. It's really hard. Like, I don't think I would want to be in retail, and like the retailer is going through some tough times where sales have been decreased and transactions are low, and your product is in retail. So you mean to tell me my product is going to be in retail, sales are declining, you don't get paid right then and there? Because, you know, in direct to consumer, Shopify,
they pay you out, right? Yeah.
You get paid, you know, within a day.
Yeah.
Like, you get your money right then and there.
Yeah.
But when you are in retail, you have to wait. If they pay you net 30, net 60, net 90, net 120 days, like, that's just how that works. And you gotta think, like, you're gonna be shelling out hundreds of thousands of dollars of product, and you're waiting on that money to come back to you. That's tough, man.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's why I say, You need to be well positioned and well capitalized. You know what I'm saying? Did you have any more on that article?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. They actually give a pros and cons of direct to consumer in a bullet point list.
Yeah, go ahead.
You hit majority of them, but there's a couple on here that I think you can speak on. But in order, the pros of direct to consumer, of course, like you said, direct line of communication.
Right.
All right. I don't know if you want to give any points about each one as I go.
I think I've talked about that enough.
Better understanding of customer needs.
Better understanding of customer needs. I like that one.
Mm-hmm. I think this one you didn't hit. More control over messaging.
Yes, you do. You do have more control over that. You on the marketing team, you know how we got
Right.
so much control of what we can do, what we can. You do have that. In the retail, you don't, because again, you giving your product to somebody else and they're putting it on their shelves and they got to put it up and everything. And that's
Right.
why you need another thing with retail. You need to have a team ready to go into these stores to make sure that they got your product presented in the right way.
Right.
You control that now. So what else you saying?
Complete control over the fulfillment process.
Complete control of the fulfillment process. We do have that. That actually was a major benefit during COVID. That was one of the reasons why we were able to grow so quickly during COVID was because we got behind on order fulfillment by like 4 to 6 months. I never stopped the order. I never stopped taking orders. I just pushed out the fulfillment. But the fact that we were manufacturing our own product, the fact that we were fulfilling our own stuff, made it easier for us to say that, have the revenue come in and fulfill those orders. You know what I'm saying? If you had your stuff outsourced, using retail, it would be incredibly hard to do that.
Okay. It says control over marketing strategy.
Yep, you sure do.
Yep. And access to more direct customer feedback.
I think that's probably like a super strong one. Having that direct feedback so that you can be able to go back and fix whatever it is that you need to fix, just like that. Like, if you got feedback from the retail, think about all the think about this. You got packaging made. You put words on it, whatever, labeling, whatever. You probably had to order a whole lot of them. A bunch of them. Yeah. So you committed to that order. Then you shipped out all that stuff. Like, and somebody gave you some feedback on changing something, but you gotta wait till all that product gets flushed out before because you can't just make a quick change.
Right.
Like, you got all this
Especially
product
retail.
still.
Yeah, facts.
Direct to consumer, what do we do every single month? We do a limited edition soap.
Something new,
where we
different.
do something new, and actually we run very small runs of it, so that, you know what I'm saying, if we need to scrap it, we can scrap it. We ain't really committed to a lot of it.
We ain't got to do it again. But if it
saying?
does well, I'll let you know. Hey,
We can do it again. We can do it again. That's what I'm saying. So, like,
Facts.
that feedback is very crucial.
Facts,
What else?
Facts. All right, the cons of direct to consumer.
Cons, yes. Let's get into some cons, man.
Everything is on you.
Is that a con?
It says it's a con. So it gives a point, like it gives a talking point.
What is it?
It says it's up to you to build your own audience via your own platforms.
That is hard.
And you don't have access to the audiences that big retail stores and sites have already amassed.
That makes sense. Because, again, that's why I said, like, when you're scaling, that's why I said at some point we're going to be in those stores. And it's only going to amplify what we're already doing. So if you build that brand as long as you can, and then you tap into the network
store,
of the Target and the Whole Foods in there, it's going to exemplify even stronger.
Right.
Like, it's going to go even crazier.
It's that oil under the land, yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's the oil under the land. I like that.
All right, another con is increased risk. Added risks that are usually swallowed up by third parties, like cyber risk and liability risks.
I could see that because, I think Shopify definitely makes it easier today for us because Shopify definitely gives us that resource and helps to protect us on our website, and all the hosting is done by them. But I do get what they're saying because, the big brands, they are armored up. Cybersecurity is a big thing.
Yeah, no, facts.
That's a whole other episode.
A lot of people going to school for that one. All right. Another con is potentially complex supply chains. Everything from the manufacturing to distribution to shipping is up to you, which can be both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, that is. I'm not gonna lie. Like, especially as we go into further levels of business, like especially now, like we having our conversations about inventory and just, we had a little bit of too much of something or whatever,
Right.
But that managing that whole thing can be stressful. It can be. And the thing is, I think a lot of people don't understand, especially when you're in early stages of business, you don't understand like the synergies of all of that, like how all of that works together. like how all of it is so important. It's so important for you to be on top of your inventory and your processes and your fulfillment and your marketing.
Would you consider like the viral moments of like the hyperpigmentation kit going viral like that? Would you consider that like a kind of a curse to the, like, as far as like the distribution and shipping and all that stuff?
I don't think so. I think I think when we have viral moments, and I just think that's just like moments that stretch us for growth.
Yeah.
But it just shows us where we are weak at, and we need to improve.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If we get behind on stuff, it just shows you like, yo, you still got so much room to improve.
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? We need to be able to fulfill. Like last year when we went to Derek Batten, we generated $150,000 in sales in 2 days.
Yeah.
Our team should be strong enough to be able to get all of those orders out, and it'd be like no hiccups.
No hiccup, yeah.
We should be able to just smoothly get that out and no problems.
Yeah.
But again, you're always trying to improve.
Yeah. Okay. And lastly, it says potential increased costs. You might need to invest in tools, software, and advertising to promote your products, which can add up and affect your bottom line.
No, that's true. I think what people don't really understand, this is actually a big one. Direct-to-consumer is expensive. It's a very expensive business model. It's very rewarding, but it costs a lot, man. Like, I mean, you know our costs. Like, we're doing everything in house. Mm-hmm. Like, there are times when I be thinking in my mind, like, man, should I outsource fulfillment? Should I outsource my manufacturing? Should I outsource marketing? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think about all these things, but if you understand the end goal, like we talked about, understand the end goal in mind, understand what you're trying to build, understand that you're building a asset. You're trying to build something that can operate without you.
Right.
If you understand all of those things, I don't think that's a con. But again, direct to consumer is hard, man. It is hard, and it's actually even more harder today than it was when we started. I think about when we started. I can see all the brands that have started when we started, or started a little bit after us. A lot of those brands are not even around anymore because direct to consumer is extremely hard. And I think people sometimes look at me or just look at the company and they're just like, y'all should be in retail right now. But I think people just, because they understand that direct to consumer is hard. It's hard. Right. It's so hard. Like, it's like we're choosing to go the hard route. We're choosing to eat our veggies first before we get to the main like part that everybody wants on the plate. Like, we're choosing to do the hard part first. And you know, I get stressed out sometimes.
Choosing to produce for yourself. That's really what.
We're choosing to produce for yourself.
That's direct to consumer. That's literally.
I mean, that's what it's about, man. Yeah. That's what it's about. And you know, again, it's the levels again. The levels. As you go through these levels, man, it gets harder and harder and harder. I think another thing is the cost of advertising. We didn't really get into that, but like the cost of advertising just continues to rise up every year. Like from when we started to where we are now. The cost of advertising, I wish I can pull up that data, but it has skyrocketed. And that's what makes direct-to-consumer so hard, is because you're at the mercy of Facebook. And we don't want to be at the mercy of Facebook. We really don't want to be at the mercy of Facebook. But, I mean, it is what it is. Like, you know, you need Facebook, you know, because Facebook is the #1 ad platform in the world. Next will probably be Google. You know what I'm saying? But you have to tap into those ecosystems to be able to drive new customer. As opposed to when you're in retail, you don't necessarily have to have those things. But I don't know if you remember when I was reading the email, he talked about omni-channel, being an omni-channel brand.
Right.
I hear about these brands that have that omni approach. When you run ads, when you're running digital ads, and then you're also in the retail store, that stuff has a halo. It's called a halo effect. When you're running ads and running Google ads and Facebook ads, like that has an effect on getting people into those stores. People see those ads. Yeah. And they recognize your ads and they'll recognize your product in the store. So, how long have we been recording?
About 45.
Okay. So, I mean, just see if there's any last things. I know I had like this post pulled up, like just kind of like talking about like how, and again, I don't need to read it, but like I felt because I know I felt some type of way because I was having a conversation with one of my investors, and he felt that, like, I don't want to speak for him, but I think that he felt that we wanted to just do this direct-to-consumer thing just because my lead investors wanted us to do this. Mm-hmm. But I had to tell him and remind him, I'm like, yo, before my investors came on, I felt very strongly about direct-to-consumer. Like, again, I told you my accountant told me back in, like, 2018, 2019, yo, stay direct. I knew from the beginning, like, yo, this is one of the most powerful business models out there. Like,
Right.
you gotta go direct. Like, so, you know, it's hard. I know it's hard, guys, but choose your hard. That's what they say. They say choose your hard.
That's life, man.
Like, if you're trying to do what we're trying to do, which is create a valuable asset that has the potential to be acquired or be sold, again, let me clarify for you guys. I'm not saying that we want to sell the business all outright. I've admitted this, that I want a liquidity event at some point. I want to be able to, you know, extract some of the wealth, you know, from my company that I've, you know, built for many years. Like, you got to remember, we started this company with nothing, no money. I took out a bad personal loan of like $3,000-$4,000. Is it okay for me to cash out on a business that I've built for the past decade? Right. Like, is it okay? Like, you know, and this is for like people who call people sellouts for doing that.
That's another one.
Like, can I not enjoy the fruits of my labor? And the thing is, you don't have to sell. You could take distributions from your company. That's another thing. Regardless of what route you want to go, you have to build something that's going to be valuable.
Right.
Like the book says, built to sell.
Right.
Build something that can sell. If your business can sell, that means that you don't even have to sell.
You don't have to sell.
I mean, you don't have to sell. That means that the business is doing well. It's profitable. It can operate on its own. Like,
it's like
you ain't got to. You got choices.
Going to Shark Tank and declining every offer on there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, that's the thing. If you build your business to sell, you have options. You give yourself options.
Right.
If you don't build your business to sell, what are you doing? You just hustling. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, like, this is the conversation about the whole direct to consumer versus retail. Let me know your thoughts about it. You know what I'm saying? Comment below what your thoughts are. Are you currently direct to consumer? Are you currently retail? Do you have aspirations to be retail? Are you retail now and you have aspirations to do a little bit more direct to consumer? I would like to know in the comments. Also, you know, continue to give us your questions. We will answer them. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe, to the YouTube channel. We're going to continue to give you guys good value, you know, good topics that just come to my mind, things that I can give value on. Any other last things you got?
No, I would just say, even in the comments, put any speakers y'all want Quinton to interview or talk to. Anybody I would like him to talk to, for sure, drop them in the comments as well. That helps a lot.
That does help out a lot. You know, your feedback, again, direct feedback. Your feedback is everything. Like, no, for sure. Like, it's everything. And it really helps us to keep going. So I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to keep putting out content. So till the next time. Peace.
Peace.